Okay, guys. Good evening. Friday evening. Today, it's not normal stream time. And the reason for that is I have to take a class tomorrow. And I'll leave 6:45 a.m. tomorrow. And the class will end at 5 p.m., if I remember it correct. Hey, Bob. Good to see you, brother. How are you doing? You were really fast to drop in today, Bob. I appreciate it. Hey, lovely Lisa, Warrior Queen. Good to see you. How are you doing? I hope your week has been great, wonderful, awesome. But anyway, I have put the StreamYard link in the top of the chat as usual. If somebody's up for it and who wants to join me up here. That was a good idea, Bob. Very smart. I'm doing good, pretty good, actually. I'm pretty tired. It has been a pretty rough week at work, as usual, but I'm doing okay. Hey, PB. Good to see you, brother. How are you doing? But anyway, I have a 8-hour class I'm going to, so I'll leave 6:45 a.m. tomorrow. That is why I had to move my stream to today. Good to hear, brother. Hey, McBean, good to see you, brother. And as I said, the class ends at 5 p.m. And then you have a 1-hour drive back home. And we are going to pick up and drop off some people on the way. So I will probably back home 6:30, 6:45 p.m. tomorrow. Yeah, it is nice with an early start sometimes. But anyway, if anybody are up for it, just hit the StreamYard link I pinned in the top of the chat. And join me up here. Oh, another thing before I forget anything, I have a tendency to do so. We run for 2 hours today because I have to go up at 3 a.m. in the morning. So that's why we do a shorter stream today, guys. Well, it is emergency water. It has been a class with emergency water. Hey, McBean, good to see you, brother.
Hey, good being in.
So it's how to clean the water tanks for drinking water, basically. So that will clean the tanks, clean the taps, clean everything, heavy lifting, and we will probably get soaking wet too. So
yeah, I'm getting ready to
Getting ready to cook up some bacon and tomato sandwiches, huh?
Yeah, I just got back from the gym, so I gotta eat.
Yeah,
I need
good idea.
I feel the need for protein.
Yeah, the body needs it.
Especially when you left.
Indeed.
I had a subscriber of mine out. She's out in the UK, and her husband is a vegetarian,
Yeah.
and he's been complaining of headaches. And I told her, I said, well, as a vegetarian, it's difficult to get enough protein, and he may have to find some way of getting more protein in there because you need at least 90 grams of protein for your brain a day. So
Okay, good.
I think he went and got some sort of protein powder, started adding it to it, and his headaches have went away.
Yeah.
So I was glad to be
Okay, PB.
Well, mind me, I'm going to cook while we're chatting. We got the small tomatoes from the garden.
Those look really nice, those tomatoes.
Yeah, I've got about maybe 2 more weeks before the first frost will come in and just ruin everything.
Yeah. You can never store enough water. But these water tanks are for the public. They put these water tanks in specific areas, and then you have to take your 5-liter water jug and refill your jugs up and go back home.
Okay.
So those water jugs tanks you can.
These are my water bottles,
Okay.
and they are water.
Hey, Gracia.
My
Hey,
daughter
baby.
was out in Arizona, and they have I think it's a 5,000 gallon water tank that them and 2 of the neighbors share.
Yeah.
So they have a sustainable water.
Yeah. Bob, those tanks, you probably fill them up with a couple of 100 liters, but that's a lot of water.
So,
Maybe,
hey, Shadow.
hey, maybe.
John, how you doing? All right?
I'm doing fine. I'm hangry.
So, what's happening, Shadow?
I don't get
Well,
food. I get
we run for this stream. This stream we run for 2 hours because I need to go up 3 in the morning because I have to go leave my home and
8 o'clock over there right now.
Yeah, 8.
Yeah.
So
Right, early start then. Yeah, it's just after 7 p.m. here. Yep.
yeah. So I have to wake up early, and 6:45 I leave. We drive straight up to 1 hour drive north.
What sort of class are you going to?
Emergency water.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really big tanks, water tanks, and you learn to clean them, which will be probably a nightmare. And clean the taps, hygiene, basically everything, and some other instances that are responsible for to put these tanks out in an emergency. So it's a
Were
couple
they,
of 100 liters in those tanks.
What are the tanks made of?
I don't know. Maybe plastic, I believe.
Right. A lot of our old Cold War bunker water tanks that were made of stainless steel. Sorry, conventional steel.
Oh,
Yeah.
stainless would be better.
Yeah.
Yeah, stainless is good. I've got a 500 liter stainless steel water tank.
I try to store as much as I can in glass.
Yeah, glass is excellent.
Actually, Lisa, I have no idea what they clean those tanks with. I will find out tomorrow. Definitely.
If there's
And I
anything
don't
like our ones, they
maybe
don't clean them with. Sorry, God.
they are probably made of plastic or steel. I don't know. I haven't seen them yet, so
Well,
I
plastic
can't
would be
tell.
lighter,
But
but it leaches into the water eventually.
yeah. So they are probably square shape on those tanks. So you fill them on the top, I believe.
Good. You can give us all a debrief next week.
Yeah. So that will be totally 8 hours and heavy lifting. So I will probably be totally exhausted when I get back home.
Eat more food.
Yeah, probably.
I tell you, I can't stress nutrition enough to people in that, when they complain that they're not feeling well and stuff like that. I find that
Hey, Boats, Iowa. Welcome.
almost all the time it's because of they're not
Hey,
eating
Yellow
well.
Shirt Dad. Yeah. Good to see you, Yellow Shirt Dad. He's a funny guy, by the way.
I thought you said something else then.
Yeah. Same here. All right. Well, you have a good time. I just wanted to pop in and say hello and you have fun at your class.
Yeah, well,
And everybody stay safe and enjoy your weekend.
Yeah, all right. Have a good one.
Yep.
yep. Well, that will, anyway, it will be an interesting class anyway, so.
Yeah, it should be good. I mean,
William.
it's always good to get the latest up-to-date information and, the current practices and stuff like that.
Yeah. Marika Silva Patriot, welcome. Yellow Shirt Dad has a great channel, by the way. He's a funny guy.
So yeah, what are we talking about? Water containers.
Yeah, water containers.
Right. Good.
I think I thought that was a good idea because I have water tanks tomorrow, so I thought it was a good idea to have water containers today.
Yeah, exactly. And it's water is the mainstay of all preps, and it's probably the old 3-day thing, and without it you're dead. So definitely a key aspect of prepping. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it is. You definitely need BPA-free containers.
Yeah, I mean, well, there's various materials you can have. You've got. I mean, BPA-free for the plastics it's got to be the minimum standard. And if anyone doesn't know what BPA is, to look it up because they should definitely be having BPA-free containers. The only thing I'd say on them, I had a BPA-free water bottle, and it was only like 2 or 3 weeks ago. I dropped it and it split. So they are, if you do drop them around and throw them around, they can be damaged quite easily. It's the only downside to them. But yeah, definitely BPA free, because basically, if it's not BPA free, the elements of plastic will leach into the water, and you'll end up, they contain hormone disruptors, which will lead to all sort of other complications, neurological and all that sort of stuff. And 10 years down the line in SHCF, if you haven't got BPA-free water bottles, half your group will be turning into women because they're estrogen heavy. So we'll be walking around with breasts.
Yeah.
Well, it's there's various materials: plastic, BPA-free, ceramic.
Yeah.
Well, you don't have to store. People are preparing for any sort of disaster or eventuality. You've got your conventional water storage solutions that you've already pre-thought about, your water bottles, your tanks, and all this sort of stuff. But on the last ditch sort of effort or push, if you get some sort of warning, then you can fill up your bathtub, for instance, which is ceramic, or your sinks and all that sort of stuff. So as well as that, there are dedicated ceramic water vessels around, but you don't really see them these days because they're very fragile and easy cracked, and you can't really move them around so much. But it is an option, I suppose. So ceramic. You got the old wooden water barrels, which they've used for hundreds of years.
Yeah.
Well, they were made of oak, weren't they? And they were very durable. You could roll them around, move them around quite easily, easily to be repaired. Wooden water barrels. There is a bit of metal in there as well, obviously, like the old wine ones. As Mac then said there, John McBean said there, glass is probably on my top of the list as far as a good water carrying vessel would be. But they've got their downsides as well. They're very, very fragile. Not good if you're in an earthquake zone.
Yeah.
The slightest sort of knock and it will just fracture and splinter. And then the whole thing's compromised because even if it doesn't leak, it could potentially have shards of glass within the vessel itself.
Yeah.
But glass is...
Marika Silver Patriot has a good question. Does that go for rain collection as well?
Does what go for rain collection? Well, you could store, when you if you got a rain collection system from your roof to your guttering into some, you can store that in whatever vessel you want, plastic, tin, steel, iron, whatever. So it depends on the transport means from your roof or your collection system down into your storage, I'd say. Yeah, in villages in Kenya, some villages, where you see all these little mud huts dotted around, some of them use cement as water storage containers.
Yeah, I think I have seen things like that system somewhere.
Yeah, what they do is they get some sort of old sacking. It's real crude the way they do it. They get an old, or burlap sacks and hessian sacks and stuff like this, and they make a form around a sort of a chicken wire frame or a steel frame, and then they stuff the sacks full of all sorts, clothes and all this sort of stuff, and then they cement around it. When it all dries and they made this sort of pot-like structure, they take all the insides out, and that's their container then. I suppose you could line it with some sort of extra waterproofing, because over time, I'm not sure too sure about the long-term permeability of cement, but it's bound to leach through at some point. But they use that, you see.
The problem with cement is at winter time when the temperature drops, and then you have the spring and the temperature go up. it will
Yeah.
crack. So,
Yeah, well, in places like Kenya, the temperature
yeah, well,
fluctuations aren't that great. So, although it might
no,
work for them, it's not. I wouldn't really advise it for any sort of temperate or climate. And of course, yeah. You got the plastics, like we said, BPA free. But people should be looking towards the sort of the high density plastic, the HDPEs, which is the better form of plastic for water containers. Really,
yeah,
I mean, I've seen and heard people talk about the biodegradable cartons and stuff like that, but the clue's in the name. If it's biodegradable, it's going to degrade over time.
yeah,
But the temporary solution, I suppose, you could use cartons. But like any storage container, you've got to watch what has been in that container. If it's a milk carton, for instance, then it's always going to be tainted, the taste of that water. Or if it's a fruit juice, the water is always going to be tainted by the taste of what's been in that carton previously.
yeah,
Well, I mean, in the past, being in the army, we used to use jerry cans, plastic water jerry cans, and they're dedicated 20-litre, 5-gallon plastic water jerry cans, and they're always black. You can get the civilian equivalent of those. I use those as part of my emergency water storage. I've got 100 litres. So much we've got at least 100 litres in big 25-litre jerry cans.
yeah,
And I've got 5-litre smaller ones as well. Yeah, similar to that. The only thing I'd say about those, and this is quite a key thing for people wanting to use plastic jerry cans or any sort of plastic water container, is I'd advise people to get one with a breather cap. And normally, like that picture there, you've got the big cap on one side, and on the other side, you'll have a smaller cap as well. So you undo it, and when
yeah,
you pour it in, it doesn't glug out, and you're losing some water because you're not getting a nice steady flow. So that's a definite
yeah,
thing to look for, is a water jerry can with 2 spouts.
yeah.
Is that
You
got
can
one?
see that. Yeah, you can
Yeah,
see that. That is a smaller one, and there is where you fill it.
yeah. I mean, there's so many. There are actually quite a lot of things to look for when you're looking at water containers and jerry cans and stuff like that. The shape for a start off. Is it square? Is it round? Is it stackable? If it's square, you can probably store it. You can pack more into a space. I wouldn't really try and stack water containers above each other, but square containers can fit into a small room or a cupboard a lot more easier than round ones.
Yeah,
Round ones you could move around easier. You can roll them around if they're big and heavy, depending on how good the seal is at the top. But then again, on the downside, square ones versus round ones, if they fall over, round one's going to roll away, for instance.
yeah,
I mean, it might not sound that, you say, oh, well, so what? But if you're on something like a boat, then a container falls over and it's round, or cylindrical, should I say, then it's going to
yeah.
start rolling all over and upset the trim.
Exactly.
So, you can also get collapsible bladder containers.
Yeah,
I've investigated that for my boat, and they're very good in the terms of you can pull them out. They can roll up, for instance, and put into a small space, or they can
yeah,
be placed into unusual places, and places where you can't fit a square vessel or a big round tub and so on. And you can
yeah,
move them around quite easily. You can, especially if they're dark, you can put them on the deck and let the sun heat it up. What I do carry, I've got one in various places as well. I've got myself about 4 or 5 of them, are the 20-litre solar showers.
Yeah.
And they make excellent little containers because, if you want to put them in a bag, for instance, they just roll up into a very small space. You can fill up with 20 litres of water, which is quite a large volume. You leave them out in the sun, you can get hot water out of them. But on the downside is, I've tried drinking out of one, and the water does get tainted because the plastic isn't of such quality. So you do have to process the water itself. Yeah, I mean, you can also get, if anyone's been caravanning or camping, you see people knocking around with these water carriers, which are on a little frame you pull behind you. It's like a roller, like a roller carrier. It's full of water. They contain about 20 litres. They're easily moved around. Things like a lifesaver jerry can. I don't know if you've ever heard of those.
Yeah, I have. I think
in my mind, yeah, they're excellent. In my mind, Lifesavers, the Lifesaver brand, is one of the best. It's not a water filtration system; it's a water purification system because it produces literally clinically pure water, and it's they're top of the line stuff, but it reflects in the price. They're really expensive, really expensive.
Yeah.
So you could, you could have a batch of water cans, unfiltered, unprocessed, that you've collected, or and have something like a Lifesaver jerry can and process all your water through that. Problem is, it's a single point of failure. Then that water can goes kaput because it's your purification system. You've lost the ability to. You're gonna have to seek other methods to filter that water.
Exactly.
What else you got? You got the old water bob, which is a big plastic bag you can put in a bathtub.
Yep. You have there is a big bladder. You put in the bathtub. You fill it with water. I believe it. You can it contains 400 liters of water or something.
Yeah, it's probably the same thing we're talking about. I think it's called the water bob.
Yeah, water bob. That's the name.
I've tried one. Problem is, they're so fragile, and the other problem is you have to have warning that something's about to happen, because no one's going to have one of those in their bathtub all the time filled up with water. So it's it relies on some sort of warning system that something's going to happen. So you scramble upstairs to your bathtub, open the packaging, put your water bob in, turn the taps on, and then fill it, hoping that the event isn't going to hit you before your bag's full.
Exactly.
So, well, I mean, we used to in the boat world. A lot of people have.
Gil, no problem.
A lot of people have stainless steel water. Many people have stainless steel water tanks, but other people just have standard steel water tanks, and it makes me cringe every time I see or hear people filling their water tanks up and drinking from that system, because it's literally the inside of the water tank. What they do is, these things hold 100 gallon. Once a year they use a scraper, scrape all the loose rust off and loose bits that have accumulated in the tank, and they paint it with a bitumen paint. And you think to yourself, bitumen's a paint that you use on your roof and stuff like that. And that's what they literally do. But recently, go on.
I share this now. Okay, this is an Autopart flexi tank. This has a zipper up here, I never seen it like the tank like this before. It contains 100 liter, 225 liters, or 400 liters.
Right.
So,
Well, it's
what do you think
expensive.
about
The thing
yeah,
is, the thing I immediately
900.
say is the thing I immediately say about things like that is, why would you have something like that when you could get
Yeah,
5-gallon containers which you can easily move around?
exactly.
That's an expensive item. It seems
The
a bit.
cheapest is 869 crowns. So,
Yeah, that's a
and the
lot.
next, and the next one costs 1,159 and 400 liter. The 2,193. So, but
So 400 liters. Yeah,
I can
yeah,
imagine for if you have a house, it might work, but not in an apartment. But it's a cool thing.
yeah. It's nice, but again, so for me, that's too expensive. It requires dedicated flooring. By the looks of it, you've got to have a sort of solid platform to put it on because it's only got 4 feet and there's a lot of weight there. It may need support, and it's above all, it's a single point of failure. That
Yeah,
fails, or you get some sort of destruction in your property, and it splits the bladder, or even so, the plastic water faucet at the bottom there. If someone misuses it, who's unaware of, not conversant with how to use it, they could quite easily
yeah,
break it, and you've lost your whole 100, 400, 225 liter tank. Then it's but I'd go with the plastic, more portable containers like Bob
yeah,
says there, the 5-gallon ones, definitely.
yeah. I agree. But
But
I
yeah, I
just
mean,
want to show you these because I never seen a tank like that before. So
oh yeah, there's the options out there are quite wide and far nowadays. Yeah. So these steel water boat tanks, they basically they were previously just painted with bitumen paint, and then people would just run it through, and because the turnover of water was quite quick, they didn't seem to get any ailments, and people have been using that method for nearly 100 years now on the canal systems. But recently, they've just brought in laws that you're not supposed to, for health and safety reasons, use bitumen paint anymore because they've found some sort of adverse effects. And you're supposed to use some sort of new approved paint for steel steel tanks, not stainless steel. But these are just standard steel tanks. I
yeah,
gotta say, I use a stainless steel tank. It's just over 100 gallon, and I don't have to do anything with it really. I've had it for 13 years, and up until recently, we used it every day. And the only thing I have to do really, or don't have to do it, but what I do is once a year I drain the tank off completely, completely refill it with water, and I treat it with chlorine just to make sure there's no nasties that have accumulated in it. But
yeah,
we found a lot of the stainless steel tanks, if they're not the bigger they are, the more prone they are to splitting, because when you fill a stainless steel tank, I'm talking about stainless steel, it's not very thick, 4 mil max, I'd say. I'm not exactly sure I think they are, but they're no more than 3 or 4 mil thick. And if the welding isn't brilliant, the bigger they are, they flex and buckle, because inside you get almost like a vacuum build up. And anyone who's got one of these tanks will know that when these tanks when they get to about a quarter full, you will hear a big dinging sound, bong, and that'll be the roof, the wall of the tank, sort of giving it a quick flex. And over time, after 5 or 6 years, a lot of them do split. So if anyone's after a stainless steel water tank, then I would prefer to go for a couple of 200-gallon tanks, rather than a big 400-gallon tank, for instance, and get it done by the best welder you can, or most reputable company you can as well.
Yeah.
So what's that? Slippery Pickle. What storage is site dependent? For on foot, I am a fan of bladder or skin type container. Stainless is 316, probably the optimal for storage containers. Right. Yeah, you can get underground tanks and wells and stuff like that.
Yeah, you can.
I mean, people can use those for their.
That will probably cost extra to put them in the ground.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And you need to install them on a correct way. Otherwise, you have a total leak or something.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
and you need to seal it up properly.
Yeah, you got in any sort of underground storage system that someone's going to make themselves or get, you've got to consider the ground conditions and how vulnerable it is in that ground, not only to any sort of disaster that may hit that area, but you've got the weather conditions, the freezing conditions, and over the seasons, how the temperature fluctuations can be depending on how deep the actual container is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, for me, I'd use a stainless steel tank, water jerry cans, and what I found is quite good are the 5-litre water cans. They're like cylinder shape that you can buy from any store, Tesco, Sainsbury's, Asda, places like that, and they're quite robust. They are.
Yeah.
Take quite a lot of abuse. Realistically, people should be using. Well, I wouldn't tell anyone what to do. They should consider storing them in UV-resistant containers, and above all, food-grade plastic containers. Because if it's not food grade, then you've got the leaching element. Stainless steel tanks, so they're the big cylindrical ones.
Yeah.
Right.
But
Yeah,
they are probably square ones too, right?
Yeah, mine's a square one. Mine's like a trapezius type shape.
But they are really expensive.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure how much that translates there, but for us,
dollars.
Right, dollars.
Yeah.
That's expensive. That is.
Yeah, it's between the large round stainless steel costs $6,500 up to $8,800.
Right, that's way over the top. I mean, 13 years ago, I paid must have been about between £500 and £800 for one, which is 100-gallon. And these days, it would cost about 1,200 max. But I mean, well, they're a ready-made unit. You see, everything's done for you there. It's quite easy to do as long as there's a hole in the bottom area. Give it a couple of inches for sediment build-up. You could quite easily put your own faucet on there, and then You could even plumb it into a water pump, 12-volt water pump, onto some sort of tap at the other end, and you've got yourself a powered water system almost. It's a bit more complicated than that, but Deorse, how you doing? All right?
The smaller one costs $1,075 up to $3,150.
How much is that? How big's the small one? What does that hold?
I have no idea. 90 gallon.
90 gallon. Yeah, that's way over the odds. Way over the odds. People want a stainless steel tank and they want a cheaper solution. Look at boat tanks.
Boat tanks.
Yeah, try looking for I don't know. Yeah, you get sailing boat stainless steel tanks. You get canal boat stainless steel tanks. A lot of people now they also use plastic tanks as well.
Not fuel.
Yeah, what the problem is when you're looking at the sailing world, there's one there. Oh, it's fuel tank. Problem when you're looking at the sailing world is as soon as you mention the word, as soon as you mention the word sail or yacht, the price increases by 4 at least.
That is 7 liters. That is
7
really
liters.
small.
So that's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I agree.
I mean, we use for a 100-gallon tank, normal use. So we're not really bothered about water conservation or just normal everyday use. That's washing in the morning, drinking water, a shower at night. 100 gallons will last 2 of us 3 days. That's it.
Yeah.
So every other day we have to make sure we fill up with water. You see. But if we're just using it for the gallon a day business, then it extends a lot further. Another thing about, especially yacht sailing water tanks, is if they're an integral part of the boat, they will cost a lot more because the internal tank will be baffled to stop water sloshing around and upsetting the trim of the boat. You see. And of course, you've got your extra steel work in there, so it's going to cost more. So on sailing yachts, you'll probably find they tend to go more towards the plastic or the inflatable type. Like that one there, the top right hand picture, the third one in there on the left. Yeah, plastic there. And then you got the bladders there as well.
249 euros.
Yeah, but that's if you're not on a vessel, there's no need to get this sort of stuff because it's just way too expensive to buy for something that you can quite easily replicate with a 20-liter jerry can.
Yeah,
and 20-liter jerry cans. When you're talking about size of things, it might not be the best solution to have a 20-liter water can. If you're getting older, or you've got some elderly people with you, you might want to just get 5-liter ones instead because they're easier and lighter to carry around. And at the end of the day, water's heavy. You're talking a kilo per liter of water. But for something to throw in the
1 liter of water weighs 1 kilo, so
so for something you can throw about potentially into the back of a vehicle or whatever like that, 20 liters is ideal. And it's a good size as well because it's a good planning size. You can just look at it and say, right, 20, 40, 60, etc., etc. Or a really good solution is a 55-gallon plastic drum. I've got 2 of those in the yard. Problem with those is if you're going to get those, I'd advise to get a roller base, and you can get those on Amazon, places like that. Many other places sell it. And before you fill it up, put it on this roller base. Make sure it's got brakes. Fill it up, and you can move it around quite easy. And then if you want to go up from there, because those 55-gallon drums, they're really, really robust, really good quality, thick plastic. Make sure you get a good quality sealable lid. But they are big and heavy.
Yeah.
If you want to go a step up from there, you got water bowsers. We used to have water bowsers in the army. They're made of plastic, but they require, specialist vehicles. You've got to have a tow hook, for instance. And if any sort of peacetime situation, you may have a special license, depending on where you are, to tow the thing around. But again, bigger it is, if you've got a big water bowser or a big water tank, then it's a single point of failure. So you may be going back to the 20-litre or 5-litre jerry can size, because you haven't lost it all if you've lost one of those. The key is to not put all your eggs in one basket, like your food and that sort of stuff. Just have numerous ones available that you can fill up from large tanks and so forth, and move them around easy. Because even 20-litre water jerry cans, you talk, 20-kilo lump size. And if you're moving those around, you'd have to have a set of sack wheels to move it.
Exactly.
And when you're looking at these sort of water cans, I know when Deorse comes up, he did a good video on his water storage system. He's got the racking and the containers.
Yeah, he had a really good water storage system, actually.
When you're looking at another thing to consider when you've got water cans is, are they can you decontaminate them easy? If you got these fancy water containers or water vessels, ideally they shouldn't have any ridges or divots in them or fancy patterns in them, because they can harbor contaminants. Has it got a wide lid on it or a narrow lid on it? Because if you're in any sort of situation, depending on where you are and what you're prepping for, if you're preparing for let's say the nuclear fallout, for instance, you're going to get all this contaminants in the nooks and crannies. Or it doesn't even have to be that. Basically, the key is it easily decontaminated? Talking the extremes now, probably for most people. It must be robust. Will it survive a drop? Will it survive being rolled around the floor, being passed to someone else and dropped from a foot away? Will it survive debris falling onto them? Because, in many scenarios, you can have the collapse of a building, partial collapse, or an earthquake.
Yeah, that's true.
You might have debris flying around from tornadoes or high winds, which could quite easily pierce some containers quite easily. Will it survive blast damage, for instance? There's a multitude of possibilities there. But yeah, I mean, have you seen these plastic? The plastic water bottles you get nowadays in the shops? Half of them are just not fit for purpose. Plastic. What's he saying there? Slippery pickle. Where are you going with all this water anyway? Hey, it's the key to life, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. These plastic water bottles you get nowadays, you go into a shop and buy a bottle of, little 500ml bottles. Half of them are just useless. The plastic's so thin on them, and they can just about manage to, not crumple when you unscrew the top. There's a couple of bottles that I've found which are quite good and far superior from the rest at the moment, and one of them is a smart water, which is quite good. They're quite robust, I suppose. I've got one here. Another one is something called Aqua Carpatica. Aqua Carpatica, and it's in a square.
It sounds familiar.
Square long bottle. Looks like a gin bottle. And they're excellent. They are. They're really thick. I've kept one because they're so good. But yeah, I mean, if you look at a water bottle, a water bottle would have a best before date. And that's because basically it's not because of the water, it's because of the plastic. And normally water bottles have got an expiration date of about 2 years from the date of manufacture, which means after that 2-year lifespan, you can expect the plastic to start leaching into the water over time.
Like these plastic bottles.
Yeah, that's a good size. That is the 1.5 litre, 2 litre bottles. They're a really good size.
Yeah, I believe it's 1.5 liters.
Yeah, they're normally made of PET. Those types of bottles.
Yeah,
so you normally get 2 forms of plastic when it comes to water, potable water, BPA free. You get the PET bottles, which for the retail purposes, and the types you see in the shops, and you get the jerry can size bottles. They're more the HDPE, higher density plastic. They're a lot better. But I mean, when people store these plastic jerry cans anywhere, what they've got to consider as well, which is another key factor, is that plastic is porous, and any contaminants in the vicinity, like vapors and fumes from fuel, things like that, can penetrate into that plastic over time and taint your water. So personally, for me, I would not store any water containers in the same area where I've got any sort of toxic substance like pesticides, gasoline, diesel, or anything like that, because it will penetrate through that plastic over time. So yeah,
and acids, you should keep them from that too.
Yeah. I mean, so for me, I've got a stainless steel tank, 100-gallon odd, just over. I've got plastic 25-litre HDPE water containers. I've got a 20-litre jerry can as well. I've got a bunch of 5-litre off-the-shelf water cans, and that's a good system. I've got a couple of solar showers that you can roll up and keep them simple. I've got a bunch of collapsible plastic water carriers that you can use for camping and stuff.
Yeah,
got them all over the place, really. And the key to having a robust sort of plan is to have variation and a good variety of storage systems. Yeah, Bob says there, my water is kept separate from anything else. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, the same for my water as well. So
yeah, because you can guarantee any sort of event happens, toilet roll and water, people just load up with that and scoot off, and the shelves are empty, and that's it. What I would also say is on not so much with the storage of water, but the transfer of water from one place to another, is what I've found is when this is an example. When I'm filling, make sure you got a hose pipe or whatever transfer system you're using. I'm not sure the classification of it, but it's got to be food grade, because even hose pipes I'll give you an example. When I if I fill up my stainless steel water tank from a faucet, and I'm using a standard hose pipe, that water, I mean, you know, the water's flowing fast through that hose and into this tank. Fine, I top up and go away. That water tank, water in that water tank tastes funny. It's tainted. But, and I did that for a couple of weeks and realized it was the actual hose pipe itself. When I used a food grade water hose pipe, no tainted tastes at all. So people will be aware of that.
That is what Deorse use. He has a blue hose,
right?
That is specifically for drinking water. So he used that for only that and nothing else. So that's good, really good idea, actually.
Yeah, definitely. I found that there's a company called Hose Lock, and their hose pipes are yellow. They do all their hose pipes are really good, and they don't taint. Hey, Deorse, how you going?
I'm doing all right. How about you guys?
Hey, Deorse.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, no. Earlier, you guys were talking about like the plastic containers versus the stainless steel. I never really looked into the stainless steel, but all plastics leach, all of them, even the food grade stuff. That's why, actually, one of the channels that I don't watch him that often, but I am sub to him. The guy's name is Nothing Fancy, but like when he does gear reviews or he does any sort of reviews, in regards to preparedness, like he researches this stuff and he, like I said, he goes out and, like I said, he reviews it himself. He'll buy the items and reviews it himself. Like does a thorough, like that's why like a lot of his videos he does, it ends up being long-winded, but he's just explaining the pros and cons of everything, in regards to whatever it is he's testing out, or anything that somebody might consider testing out. But like one of the videos he did 10 years ago was a water storage video. And like I said, I mean, that was probably hands down the most thorough water storage video I'd seen. But he brought up some of the many issues that you talked about, like the different style water storage containers, how they'll get real complicated where how they mold it. They'll put different kinds of imprints and everything, kinds of reinforcing ribs or whatever they'll mold it to the plastic, and specialized carry handles, and it makes it difficult to clean and sanitize. And that was one of the things that he talked about. I believe the one particular container that he was talking about, I think that was Aqua Cube, where it's like that, where they got like different kinds of grab handles all over the place. It's crazy how it's molded and everything like that. But they designed these things basically like Lego bricks. You could stack them on top of each other, designed for people who live in apartments, or I guess as you guys call it in England, the flats.
Yeah.
You can store them underneath your sofa. You can store them behind a sofa, store them in a closet or whatever, just kind of, like it's a really low, small profile. And I think they're like, I want to say they're like maybe 2 or 3 gallons. So it's like 6 liters? 6 liters maybe?
A gallon to us is 4.55 liters.
Yeah.
I think that's an imperial gallon. I think the
it might be like 10 liters, closer to 10 or maybe 9.5. But I'm just saying, the way they're designed, they stack onto each other. But they're pretty cool and they're pretty sturdy. But like you said, and like you mentioned too, they've got some of these containers out here. They're difficult to clean and sanitize. The other thing too that he advised, because you
Costa.
Well, he didn't talk about cost. I'm sure he probably did talk about the cost a little bit, because he did say like.
No, sorry, I was just saying hello to the rule of survival. There, his name's Costa. So, how you doing, Costa? All right, sorry to bother.
Anyhow, no, he was talking about like you can get those surplus 55-gallon. You can get like surplus 55-gallon water containers. You know, you can get them for cheap, even from like distributors that or manufacturers that make syrups and stuff for like soda companies. But he said like he made that mistake early on, and the problem, you know, those are food grade, but the problem is like no matter how much cleaning and sanitizing he and his wife did to those, he said that over time they still had issues, you know, years later, you know, where the syrups and everything would start to leach back into the water, and it would give his water the faint, distant taste of Coke or something like that, Coca-Cola.
Yeah, definitely. Avoid anything that's had any sort of previous stuff in it, because you'll never, like I say,
he talks
never
about
get rid of it.
Cons of different storage methods. The other thing he talked about is like portable versus non-portable, you know, water storage systems. You know, like he talked about his big old 700-gallon, what he referred to as the water buffalo container he's got outside his house. You know, sits in one place. And it's made of super, super rigid, super heavy duty, you know, plastic, like, I don't know, like polyethylene or something like that. And he says, you know, you got different options, you know, the portable stuff, you know, like I said, like the 5-gallon and everything. But he says like the bulk containers are always going to be cheaper in the long run, you know, per gallon, it's always going to be cheaper than trying to go with portable, you know, the individual portable containers. Like the route I'm going right now, it's super expensive because each one of those containers on average is about $20. But I, you know, would rather have something like that anyway, because like if I have to move it, if I have to start loading this stuff in the back of my pickup truck and move it somewhere else for an emergency or something like that, I can do that.
Well, that's the key, isn't it? You know, portability is definitely an added bonus. And but if anyone there in the chat hasn't seen, because you did a good video on that, Deorse, your system,
I appreciate it.
Like, you know, it was an excellent system. And if anyone in the chat hasn't seen it, go to Deorse's channel. He's got you got a system of racks in here with a load of water. You've already, you know, you can explain it there, but
no, like I said, that's kind of the route that I prefer to go. That's the same way that I do my fuel storage too. I don't, you know, people talk about getting like these big, huge, you know, containers, and that's fine and dandy if you don't plan on going anywhere. And understand, like, my first choice, if anything happens, is to try not to, you know, bug out. You know, rather just try to, you know, hunker down, board up the windows if it comes down to it, or establish something with my neighbors, because I'm most familiar with this area. You know, I'm not familiar with going out to the woods, but that's a whole nother subject on its own.
Well, yeah, the point there, is you know, when you get bigger storage vessels, a whole load of new things come into it.
Yeah,
like
and then you got permits. In some cases, you got permits. Like I said, fuel storage is a whole nother subject. But like, if you're to get like bulk fuel storage for bulk amounts of fuel, you gotta get a permit for that stuff. Like I don't care what state you live in.
What counts as bulk storage?
Presently, I think like if you're living in like the city, anything above 25 gallons for fuel.
25 gallons, is that it?
Yeah, I believe over 25 gallons in most areas in townships. And like that, it's literally based on the individual township, based on what the fire marshal of that area has, you know, designated. But
what you declared as well.
Do not quote me on that. But like I said, I believe it's 25 gallons for bulk fuel storage.
I've got a 108. I've got a 180 liter storage tank for diesel.
Yeah,
and I've got I know jerry cans. It's 200 liters. I'll tell you, with the if it was all in separate jerry cans, I've got more capacity But the problem is, yeah, like you say, especially I don't want to start going on to fuel, but
Yeah.
when diesel comes out the refinery, it starts to degrade straight away. And I have
Yep. Well, same with gas.
continually, yeah,
Same with petrol.
yeah, continually, I'm always thinking about trying to cycle through that fuel because the lifespan's diminishing. I'm having to put additives in there, and it's a single point of failure, you know, etc., etc. And it's the same with water. You know, one massive 400-liter Bowser compared to a bunch of 20-liter jerry cans, and you know, it's you can move them around a lot more. You can distribute them and all sorts of stuff. They're far more easier to be managed, I reckon. Having a lot more easier ones there. I've just changed my picture to that one there. You see there? That's the old travelers, Romany gypsies, and used to use these water cans.
Yeah.
And they're made of steel.
No, and anyhow, I was going to go back to the water storage. Sorry, I didn't mean to deviate to fuel storage. But again, like I said, I look at portability for this stuff. And like I said, you know, some stuff, you know, like, and Gil at, you know, Gray Man Prepping and heck, even Staff Sergeant BA at SO at Step 1 Survival. They like to use the IBC totes, and you know, like again, those are fine and dandy and everything, you know. But when those things are full, you're gonna have a heck of a time moving those around. And like I understand, like Gil, he's got the pallet jacks. I think Staff Sergeant BA does too. But if you ever, for any reason, have to move those and they're full, you're not moving them unless you empty it.
Or unless you have a forklift.
Yeah, unless you have a forklift, and you better have a heavy duty flatbed pickup truck, because I think those IBC totes, I want to say those are under 200 gallons. 1 gallon, 1 US gallon weighs about 8.3 pounds per gallon. So you're easily looking at over 1,000 gallons once those are full. Or not 1,000 gallons, 1,000 pounds once those are full.
Yeah. I mean, you know, if you got the problem I find with preppers is you get the man of the house. You know, he's sort of the most highly trained in the group, and the family, and he gives the directions, all this sort of stuff. But when it comes to water, because it's so heavy, you've got to consider, you know, potentially send the kids down into the basement.
And I was thinking the exact same thing, and that's why I was like, I worry about my parents too, because like I said, they live in a dry state, in a dry area, but you know, it's just, I think it's the same thing. It's like, you know, there really isn't too many water storage containers out there that are commercially available. You can buy at stores, short of having to go on Amazon or go online or go to the manufacturer's websites and order them. There really isn't anything really under 4 gallons. And even these 4-gallon containers that I got, the Beverage Buddies made by Reliance, they're smaller versions of the Aquatainers. Even those would be a little heavy for my mom to carry. Now, my dad would probably have no issue carrying it. He just have to carry it with the one arm versus the other one because he had reconstructive surgery from a previous motorcycle accident.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you can send your wife and kids down into the basement or wherever it is to get the water out. And if it's 20 liters, you know, your 5-year-old kid isn't going to be able to pick it up properly, or all it takes is one trip, and you've got a twisted ankle, broken ankle, or whatever on your hands. So 5-liter ones are definitely more manageable.
Harkening back to my early childhood, you know, when I was just like a little kid, I think even just 1 gallon was a lot of weight for me.
Yeah.
I mean, I could manage it, but I was just saying, you know, that was still fairly heavy.
You know, another thing Pitbull got to, you know, it's all right having these water cans, but you've got to be able to transfer it from one place to another. Not only carrying it from the source to where you can actually use the water, but how are you going to pour it out of the container into a pot or a pan or a water bottle?
Yeah.
You know, it's going to be like gold. You know,
Yeah.
you're going to start licking up the drops
why
spilt.
with the Reliance Aquatainers and the Reliance Beverage Buddies, that's one of the reasons why I took those, because why I have those, because they've got the built-in spigots. Now I'm not crazily impressed with the Reliance because they're not super sturdy as far as the containers are concerned. Like, they're not made of a very heavy milled plastic. They're, in my book, they're still a little on the flimsy side.
Right.
But they're acceptable enough that I'll still use them. And like I said, I'll overlook some of the other details, like the fact that the one is a 7-gallon container, only because it's got the built-in spigot. Now, I prefer 6 because it's noticeably a little bit more manageable compared to the 7-gallon containers, which the Aqua Cubes are. Or sorry, not Aqua Cubes. Sorry, the Aquatainers. Sorry, Aqua Cube's a different brand.
So what's the brand of your containers you got?
All right, so I've got the Igloo cargo container. Those are the 6-gallon containers, and then I've got the Reliance brand Aquatainers, as well as the Reliance brand Beverage Buddies. I've even got some Ozark Trail, which are also manufactured through Reliance, but those are 6-gallon. And actually, I was originally going to do, the reason why I bought my first one was I was going to do a review to show how crappy it was. But when I got around to looking at it, it's like, actually, these aren't really that bad. They're actually okay quality for what you're paying for them. So,
yeah. I think I got mine out of.
I'm gonna. Sorry.
I got mine out of they're 20 litres, so 25 litre cans. My ones got them out of a camping store, and they're just a one-off purchase basically because they're really robust and stuff, and you keep them topped up every now and then, every 6 months to a year, or you rotate them around or whatever. Yeah.
I should ask. I don't know if they sell Reliance over there in the UK, because Reliance is actually it's a Canadian brand.
I've not heard of it. No, they probably do, but I've not come across it.
Yeah, I'd be shocked, if they didn't.
Yeah, I'll have a quick look. Reliance.
Yeah, Reliance. They specialize in making like different camp gear, mostly water storage, but they also make like bucket toilets. Like I bought a couple of their bucket toilet lids that'll fit on a standard 5-gallon bucket.
Right. Advancedwater.co.uk sell. Let's have a look. Yeah, they're dedicated. You have to go to get them over here. You have to go to sort of bespoke stores to get them. They're not widely available.
Yeah, I'm surprised. It's like I know like a lot of Canadian U.S. brand items or anything that's made in Canada, but it's also a U.S. brand. Like there was some years ago something that England did in order for it to not get charged a ridiculous tariff or not to get tariffed at all. The manufacturer would have to manufacture in places like Canada. That's why Canada had a few American-made auto manufacturers over there, so they could export out to England. So that way, manufacturers like Chevrolet and Ford wouldn't get charged an arm and a leg for the imports and duties taxes that could get waived because it was manufactured in Canada.
Right. Yeah, they do sell them here. They sell them on Amazon. So I'll post a picture of one here now as my avatar. This one's for £21.94. The Aqua Container by Reliance. Is that the one?
Yeah.
I'll just show you a picture. Nope, not that one.
Nope.
That's the historic one. Yeah. Yeah, we'll come up in a sec anyway.
Yeah, that was a historic one. But those are cool too, so nothing wrong with the historic ones. They worked.
Yeah, and then you're saying back to what you're saying, instead of having, the having the multiple containers versus a single one, one container integrity gets compromised, you lose just the water out of that one container. That's the other reason why I would rather, that's why I went with a multi-container storage system, one container, because I've already had one container actually get busted open. I've had one container get busted open, and it was because it was like I had explained in my video. I think what happened was it was sitting on top of a rock in the crawl space. This crawl space, we had really heavy mill, like sheet plastic just laid over. It was just dirt, that you're climbing over, and there's rocks and pieces of concrete and stuff underneath. And like
well, yeah, that's the advantage of racking, isn't it? Because you can get it off the floor. Even the smallest piece of grit, when you're talking about putting a 20-kilo water jerry can on it,
yeah,
will sort of compromise it in some way, shape, or form over time. Is this is that the one I've got a picture there?
That actually is one of their products. That's actually a smaller version.
Right.
But
yeah, I just picked that one at random from the Amazon website. But there are other bigger ones like that.
That looks like that'd be like a 3 or 4 gallon container. But yeah, that's
they're not too bad a price.
What's that?
They're not too bad a price, actually. I was surprised. I'd expect it to be a lot more. That was £20.
Yeah.
So yeah,
that'd be a little expensive over here, because over here they're under $20. So like 20 pounds is not going to be $20. It's going to be like what?
Everything's expensive over here.
Yeah, it's going to be like closer to $25 US. We'll just assume that the exchange rate for all intents and purposes, it's $1.25 per one, British pound.
Whatever something costs in America, say it's $10, it will be £10 at least over here now. It's a ridiculous price. But yeah, the good thing, like I said earlier, you shouldn't really stack water containers on top of each other unless they're designed to, and it appears they do.
And like these, you know what? I'll try to see if I can. Like these containers right here, these are meant to be stacked, but I very early on tested the limits of how far you can actually stack these. Like I said, these are the Reliance containers.
Shadow, can you expand him?
Stacking them more than too high if they're full, because the top of them they start to crush in, because these are the air pockets. They don't support any weight because there's no water behind them.
Right. So what you did there, you explained to people, you put chlorine in there beforehand, clean them out, and then topped them up. And you left a little air gap in the top, you say?
Yeah, left the air gap. I leave an air gap and everything.
How much of an air gap did you leave in those?
I don't know. It's probably about a 1-inch air gap.
Right. And why is that?
For expansion purposes. So if in case, they start to freeze up.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to freeze, but that's just kind of common practice. You buy like a commercial, 2-liter or 1-gallon container of water or soda or whatever it is that you buy. So it's got an air gap. It's going to have an air gap.
Yeah.
And that's for expansion purposes. I do the same thing with my fuel storage too. There's going to be an air gap in my containers.
Yeah. And if people aren't aware, I mean, these cans are blue for a reason.
Yeah.
2 reasons, really. One is and this goes for most water cans, is one, it signifies water, which is the obvious one, but the other one is they're blue because blue is more likely to shield it from UV light.
Yep. And it prevents the algae growth that way.
I've got to say, my ones are opaque white. And when, after about 2 months, I can see elements of green starting to appear, especially around the lids. But it's not. It hasn't bothered me in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
Yet. But yeah, it's something to look for.
Well, I mean, that, hey, Shadow, you can go ahead and take me down. You don't need to have me.
You're in the
front and
spotlight.
center.
Sorry, I forgot.
It's okay.
It
But
happens sometimes.
no, well, like I said, it's what you got. It's actually not a bad deal anyway, because it's a telltale sign. Okay, you know what? It's time to go ahead and change out the water, or I got to treat the water. I got to do something with the water. I can't let it sit like it is, because it's gonna
I mean,
continue to get worse.
My method is my long-term water storage. I make it as pure as possible. Pre-treat the container, and any water that comes out of there, I just routinely, when I'm going to use it, is put it through a Berkey anyway, or one of the other filters. So it isn't that much of a problem, So I mean, people, it's spirulina, isn't it? People harvest spirulina from this sort of thing, and that's quite good for you.
Yeah. What was I going to say? Going back to what you were talking about earlier, the leaching. Like I said, Fancy was pretty thorough about talking about the leaching, with the plastics and everything. That's the other reason why he said that he doesn't like it. He don't like treating the water with chlorine, because that chlorine will start to leach its way into the plastic. And you go change out if you're one of those people that cannot stand slightly chlorinated water, the taste of it, it'll taint all prior all batches after the fact, after you've changed out the water.
Yeah, we every time we went on ops, especially at Sierra Leone, when I went to Sierra Leone, the water there was heavily treated with chlorine.
Yeah,
and you get really strong, but we're not used to. We're used to the municipal levels of chlorine, and when we deployed, I'm sure they use a stronger solution, because it was noticeably different, but it was not harmful. It's well within their limits.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, these one thing to look out for when people store water is leaving somewhere where it's exposed to heat, and not only heat, but if you're storing water in vehicles, storage trucks, cars, your bug out van or whatever, then they are big time prone to temperature fluctuations.
Yeah,
and it can increase the leaching process as well. So it's.
I'm going to say, unfortunately, my water storage is going to be subjected to both heat and cold, because this garage is not insulated. Hey, Bob.
Hey, Bob.
Hello, all.
Like I said, this garage is not insulated, so it'll easily get, over 100 degrees Fahrenheit out in this garage during the
well, I mean, it's an investment that you got to just keep on top of as part of it's a longer term sort of maintenance regime.
Yeah.
So, but it's an essential one as well, because as we all know, without it, you're absolutely stuffed. And
like I told people, I'm trying to eventually get my water storage built up, so I've got at least 1,000 gallons on site. Because like I said, I don't have that right now, but I would like to get it.
Well, especially if you're in an arid area like you are there. Definitely.
Yeah, this area we'll go close to 2 months or so without any significant rainfall at all.
Right.
And that's why it's I'm really starting to focus on the water, because back where I used to live in Colorado, it would get dry, but it didn't get this dry. Like, it didn't get to the point where it's like, holy crap, it's been like over 6 weeks since it last rained. Now it's a bigger deal out here. So that's why I was like, all right, you know what, 1,000 gallons, because 300 gallons ain't gonna cut it.
On a, what was that you're showing there, Bob? Sorry.
Simple water container. Right there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's stainless steel, and I'm going to repaint it because I don't want the sheen like this. I'm going to repaint it, but stainless steel, and I put some caulking on the bail and a simple D-ring, and I use this all summer when I go out walking around my area, so it doesn't rattle.
Yeah.
I keep it dry. As soon as I get done with it, pour it out, let it stand
Upside down.
on the kitchen counter and dry out. Yep, just let it dry out. Next day, we'll fill it up with water, take it out. And yeah. This is kind of designed for my use if we have another 2020 riot season and I have to go out somewhere nearby the house and sit down quietly and watch. That's what it's for. So I can just sit there quietly, don't move, don't make any sound, just watch.
Watch from a safe distance.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Guard the house, guard the family. Yeah.
You gotta give it your special Bob's
I am.
camo paint job.
I am. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Where almost at a distance, it almost looks like real tree. That's what the other camo patterns
this has got too much
remind me
shine
of.
for it. This has got too much shine for
Yeah.
me. I want to take the shine down. Yeah. Yep. You know it, man. Yeah.
A lot of
shiny for me too.
I'm finding that the single-skinned stainless steel water bottles are becoming more harder to get. I'm seeing more nowadays in camping shops and other places is the double-skinned.
Are you talking about insulated? Yeah.
Yeah, but another way of doing it is to put it over a fire. That'll blacken it out a bit as well.
Yeah, that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only downside though, it's like you got to pick it up. Your hands are going to get all black and sooty.
Well,
And anything you store in is going to go black and sooty.
If you leave it in there long enough, it will stain real permanently. But
yeah.
Yeah, I've got, you guys have seen some of the videos on my channel. I'm sure that I've got those 5-gallon water containers, and my wife and daughter can move those if they have to.
Yeah.
But my plan is I will take one, park it in the kitchen, and it's got a built-in spigot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who makes those, by the way,
so
Bob?
the ladies can cook.
Bob, who makes those containers? Because I've seen them.
Igloo.
Oh, that's Igloo.
Igloo. I think so. I'll be right back. I'll let you know for sure.
It's definitely the way to go because if you have 100 liters worth, 200, 300, 400 liters worth of water jerry cans, it's almost going to take up the same volume of space as a single water tank. So you might as well keep them in those more manageable size containers.
Well, I'm going to say that I actually correct. Actually, that's not entirely true because, you remember how I was talking about how I keep an air gap and everything. So, that's taking up space. And those containers themselves, they can stack, but they can't stack real tight, and you can't stack them real tall or anything like that because you risk breaking the lower container because you overloaded it. So, in all honesty, a bulk storage container will actually take, I would say, safe to say, at least 10% less volume.
Right. Yeah. But you haven't got. Then you're weighing up the odds of maneuverability, portability, all this sort of stuff.
Yeah, and the other thing too, and like he said, he just puts one in the kitchen. The other thing too with going these portable containers is that you don't need, you only need 4 or 5 gallons at a time. Just put it in the kitchen, put it in the bathroom.
Yeah.
The storage containers take that away.
A little thing I've got coming up, project I'm going to start to do is I did a video on my van, and I've got it's a simple pipe. I just shove it into the top of a jerry can, and at the other end, the tap, the faucet, it's a push-pull one. So it pumps on
Water
the pull,
brick.
pumps on
Sorry,
the push.
that's a good one. Sorry. Who brought
They're-
was that?
they're-
Was that Swede or was that you that brought the water brick up right there? That's
was me.
really
Shadow.
good. Yeah,
It was
that's
me.
the container.
How much are
That's
those?
the problem.
I don't know, but like they got multiple openings, so you know it eliminates that whole cleaning issue that we were talking about, and they're stackable. They're stackable like Lego bricks.
Check on Amazon.
For me, the best one I could get is and it's a cheap option for anyone out there in Britain, is an army issue water jerry can. They're black, they're 20 litres a piece, and they're solid as ours they are. Really nice, thick, good quality plastic. 2 openings, and you can't go wrong. If anyone wants a really cheap alternative, go to an army surplus store, get some of those. They're brilliant. 10 out of 10.
Bob's back.
Mine are made by Coleman.
Made by Coleman. Okay, I'll check those out.
Yeah, I
Like
buy
you're
them.
not the only one who I'd seen has those. Like I really
Mhm.
like those containers. Those are
Nice
those
and
look
square.
a lot more. Yeah, they're square.
Mhm.
They're a hell of a lot more sturdier than those Canadian Reliance brand containers. And like I said, I ain't knocking on the Reliance containers. It's just I know there's sturdier options out there, and there's sturdier options out there with spigots.
I used to have one that was like a jerry can years ago, and the plastic was getting flimsy, so I pitched it, and I started buying those a few of those Coleman, and I like them. But get this, guys, heads up. I did have a kit all set up with a large, brand new stainless steel pot with bleach in it and instructions how to sanitize water. And then I checked on it one day, and I had a small bleach bottle in there. I checked on it one day, and someone rattled it, and the bleach bottle spilled over, and it destroyed the cooking pot because it rusted it just like that. And just check your stuff. Take a look at your stuff once in a while, because I mean, thank God I found out when I was not in a shortage. If I had taken that big cooking pot out, okay, I'm gonna sanitize some water. So check your stuff.
That's a good point. I've kind of forgot. Bleach is basically a salt.
Sure is, yeah. But Steve, or you guys, how many drops per gallon of bleach per water? I can't remember. Is it 2 or 3 per gallon?
I think it might be 3, but
I think it's 3.
Yeah, I was gonna say for like my water storage, I think I was using a teaspoon for like the 6-gallon containers.
Oh, okay. I used a paper towel. I dipped it into the bleach, and then squeeze out from the paper towel. Yeah.
We lost TV.
That bounced out. Okay.
Dang.
Yeah, I just used a paper towel, absorbed the bleach in a clean paper towel, and then squeezed it drop by drop out onto into the.
Oh, there he is.
Container.
Yeah, I lost connection for a while.
Sorry, he was asking the question. How many drops of bleach per gallon, for treating your water.
I think it's about 4.
4, yeah.
I'll have to look off the top of my head. I can't remember. I think it's about 4.
I do need to print off the charts. I should do that.
Yeah, what I normally do is anything from an essential oil bottle to anything, first aid kits, and I'll put a little note on labels and stuff like that, and little bleach bottles, add 4 drops to this or the stuff, because it might not be me that has to do it.
Yeah.
And
right.
like I said earlier, if I'm the, you can't be the oracle of information in your group or family.
No.
You can't
You gotta
spend all your
disseminate.
time
Yep.
training your kids and your wife and that
Mhm.
sort of thing.
Delegate.
So it's good to have, because you might have had a knock on the head and you've forgotten something, or you might be dazed, or this sort
Yeah,
of thing.
or in my
Not-
case
not-
where I almost died.
Yeah.
or not be able to get home. But I had all those instructions inside of that large stainless steel pot. Then the little bleach bottle fell over. It destroyed the instructions. It destroyed the cooking pot, and was like, F me running, man. Now I got to start all over again.
Another good thing to have is I've a book to you put a book in a waterproof container, and your book is like the brains of everything. It details all the things to do in case you haven't got the capacity to relay that information on. I got this from the Apache pilots in Afghanistan, and they had these books called the Blue Brains, they called it, and there's a blue book, and it had all the essential informations down there of what to do in case of X, Y, and Z. And so what I do now is I've got my black brains, a little black book, and in there it's got a list of all the plants in my area, not the locations, but that's all the essential knots to do, from climbing to abseiling to
there you go,
water, first aid, everything. You methodically write it down, and then it's stored away in the book. So if need be, worst case scenario, you could even use it as a barter item and all this sort of stuff. But yeah, definitely, because relaying information on if you're incapacitated is essential. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I was going to say, going back to what you and Bob were earlier saying about the make sure the containers you get aren't too big for your, aren't too big or too heavy.
Yeah.
I think, and like I said, I'm not knocking on women, and I'm certainly not knocking on children either. I think the best route to go with, is like, maybe, if you're just brand new getting into this and you're looking at trying to find appropriate containers that, won't put too much strain on your family members, maybe have the weakest family member, maybe have your wife or somebody who's like physically weaker than you, because like, if you're the guy, it's like, it's nothing for me to pick up 50 pounds or pick up 60 pounds worth of crap. But, the wife, or maybe my daughter, or maybe my young son, or something, young 8-year-old son, it's like, oh my gosh, I can't carry this. This is too heavy. Maybe have them test lifted. Like, I need you to sincerely give me an honest answer. Is this too heavy? I don't want it's fine. I want to know for a fact, is this container be too heavy? Because if you tell me that it's fine and I buy a whole bunch of these, and then we actually have to use these, you're going to be regretting your answer.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We with disaster comes injury, and even the fittest person in your group could have a bad back. And over time, as people get worn down and maybe vitamin deficient, people are getting weaker.
Yeah.
You don't want to start lugging around big heavy cans.
Well, even in my situation, 60 years old and a cancer survivor. So yeah,
right.
I'm weaker than I was 5 years ago.
Right. Yeah.
Unexpectedly weaker. And yeah.
I mean, I've regularly when I've been out and about and I've been low on water, had to go 500 meters away to get some water, fill up the cans. And a really good, simple, and it's easily storable is a collapsible trolley. The cart wheels, they call them. I use something called Magna Cart.
Oh yeah.
And they just fold up in nice, really slim, nice low profile. I'll try and get a picture in a minute. And it can hold 1 20-litre jerry can, and you just walk along, towing it behind you. It's effortless.
I've also put that into my plans. My plans also, Vet. I've got suitcase with wheels on it, and I also have a hand truck.
Right. Yeah.
And water in this region, and we're pretty lucky because the weather here is just very much like Britain. There's water everywhere, and even if I run out of water, I can easily grab a container and roll it over there on a hand truck or on a suitcase with wheels and fill it right up and walk right back to the house. Not a problem. In fact, there's even overflows from city water that comes out of the storage tanks, and it flows down pipes and then goes out into a stream. So I can get already purified water right off the ground.
That is awesome.
Yeah, this is what I use.
Yeah, but that's
It's
there you go.
that one's called Magna Cart, and relatively cheap. No more than £25, I suppose. I've had one of those and used it for over 10 years.
Very good.
Excellent, really robust. They can hold up to, I've had 60 litres of diesel in jerry cans on one of those, and it's still able to, it's still workable. The other thing I'd say on those is the little rubber, the little wheels, the rubber on the outside eventually wears away down to the plastic, and that's it. But it's still workable. But
okay.
yeah, you don't have to. People don't have to go for that sort of brands. That sort of thing is useful, very useful, because even the fittest person, try carrying a water jerry can for more than 500 meters.
Oh boy, yeah.
I mean, when I was on one exercise, Canada, back in Suffield, near Medicine Hat, and we went into a
big man. Good to see you, brother.
We went into an OP, subterranean OP, and the plan was to stay there for 5 days, and we had a jerry can of water on top of our personal water. So you're talking an extra 20 kilos on top of the 80 kilos you're carrying, so the 80 pound you're carrying already. And
oh boy,
per person, we were only able to carry that for 100 meters before you completely knackered. So you drop it, and the next person in the line picks it up and carries on. Yeah, they're bloody heavy. And
vet. I was an Air Force veteran, so I would have sat down and cried.
You'd have called it a Chinook.
But I would have sat down, cried, stuck my thumb in my mouth, and want my mama. Yeah.
I can attest to the fact over many years of living in holes in the ground and stuff that water is such a key resource, and you don't even really you take it for granted so much. Even in austere environments, you take it for granted, and it's not until you're on your last drop you start thinking, "Shit!" You're looking around for licking the grass and stuff. Yeah, those things are definitely useful. You can even get the carts to fold up now to transport water is easy enough. I had I showed it on a previous video. I've got a bike trailer. I've even used that to cart around, do some water resupplies. They're really good. Yeah, anything with wheels that will make it more easily movable. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that video actually with that cart you had.
I'll just take
really
that off.
awesome.
Cart man. There we go. Yeah, there's a multiple solutions out there. I was talking to Shadow earlier. From jerry cans to glass containers. I was saying earlier, you can people in Kenya, they make their own cement water containers, stainless steel tanks.
Have you guys run into a situation like? Well, I'm always busy doing something. Like I'm making more waxed wood right now, etc.
Right.
But I'm always upgrading my equipment. Do you guys definitely participate in that? Okay.
Yeah. What I tend to do is, this is my main sort of thing. I started preparing my assets and goods. You buy something the best you can afford. Most things nowadays is really expensive.
Yeah.
And then over time, you just upgrade it as you go along, and you gradually you're increasing your all the equipment is getting better and better as you go along.
And that's why
definitely always looking
Yeah,
out for that
that's
sort of thing, Bob. Yeah.
that's what I started doing with the water storage. But like, I got friends out there that, they're the ilk of buy once, cry once kind of people. But, it's like me, I'm not looking for top of the line. And most of the time I'm just looking for something, what can I afford at this point in time? So I can at least get this one portion of my preparedness, box on my checklist checked off. But, like I said, I started off with those commercially available 1 gallon containers. And that for the longest time, that was my water storage for like 5-6 years.
Yeah. Yeah,
That was the
definitely.
water storage.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, people can go out
only
there.
recently started changing it to these containers right here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. People can go out there now.
Mentioning that, Steve.
What's that?
Oh, go ahead, Vin.
Sorry, I was going to say, people can go if someone's worried about their limited or no water storage capability at the moment. They've got no water stores. They can quite easily go out there, go to the nearest superstore, as you say, Deorse, get those 5-litre containers, drinking water. They cost over here? They cost 50 pence. Get 200 litres worth of those over a couple of trips, and they've automatically got enough water which will stay in those containers viable for at least 2 years.
Yeah.
So yeah,
my son's on board with all of this stuff, and I noticed him the other day. He came home with 3 1-gallon drinking water containers and put them up in his bedroom. I've got the other containers too, but I'm really glad that the whole family's on board with all this stuff in my house. I'm very happy. I'm very happy, and in fact, I probably will mention on a video here that I used laptop cases for travel cases for get home bags, just enough stuff, a little food, a little shelter, and I noticed that my son, I threw one in his car and he out surpassed me because he works out with weights. We got a spare bedroom full of weights, and he's a bulky Filipino guy, and he carries his own get home bag on his back every day. It's much bigger and much more equipment in it. And every time he comes home, he brings it out of the car, brings it up to his bedroom, and I talk to him about it, and he goes, "Yeah, I bring it into the clinic where I work, out of the car into the clinic, put it in my locker, and it's got all my get home stuff in it." Like, good for you, dude. You're watching the old man and learning.
Absolutely,
that's a positive, very positive. And I didn't really coach him into it, but he watches what I do. And his priority too is protecting mom and his sister.
This is why it's important to have a good male role model in your life, so you can emulate the good.
It is very important. Yeah.
Attributes.
Hey, Guardian Outdoors, how you doing?
Oh,
hey, Guardian.
So, the rule of survival. Just put a question there. What do you think about having a couple of water hoses for temporary setups? Anything that will enhance your position and your situation is good. The good thing about we was talking about earlier, the transfer of water from one place to another, or resupplying your water bottles, or disseminating the water around your place from one vessel to another, for instance. It could be anything as simple like you filled up the bathtub and you want to transfer the water. Anything, water hoses and your ability to connect water hoses to other devices to couple them is always a good idea.
I never
Especially
thought of
hoses, garden hoses and so on.
Certainly.
Make sure it's food grade water hoses, because you will get a funny taste, and could taint the water. You get a plasticky taste. Not toxic, but it's not good for morale, should I say?
Yeah.
And as well as that, if you got a good length of hose, I don't mean that the other way, but
which will make the wife happy. That will make
a good length of hose. You can also.
you knew I'm going to bite on that.
Yeah, it always descends into this and that. If you got a good length of hose, hose is so useful in all sorts of other ways, from protecting rope to string, covering chain up, and there's a multitude of methods hoses could be used for things. But
Certainly.
yeah, to answer your question, definitely hoses are a good asset to have. Definitely.
Yeah, women outdoors. I did the same when I was a kid, and I'm still just fine.
Man, my wife likes one hose in particular.
So, how long is water safe to drink after the expiry date?
Well,
Can
I'm
we
gonna
use
say this much about that question you just asked about. So, like the water that I have, like PV was saying, they put the expiration dates on there because after a while the plastic's gonna start leaching in. Some of that water that I'm drinking right now, I bought that like back in 2017. So I'm drinking it right now. It tastes just fine to me. Like I don't taste any plastic.
I mean, most water doesn't go off for a start.
No.
It's the container in which it sits. So if you're buying a 500 ml bottle out of the store, disposable bottles, those have got an expiry date of 2 years. Look at them.
Yeah.
And if stored in the right conditions, a plastic PET bottle or a PDFE bottle will last much, much longer. It's the cheaper those water bottles there you buy, the smaller ones, they're almost not fit for purpose because they're so fragile. They're almost just a token effort.
Yeah.
Just another goods that people, these companies want to just churn out the door and make profit on, really.
Yeah. But like I was gonna say, stored water, like water that you stored yourself, if you treat it, as I understand it, as long as you treat it and you treat it with the proper amount of chemicals or bleach or stabilized air, if you're going to use stabilized air, it's good for 7 years. 7 years if it's treated, and then like I said, 6 months if it's not. And the whole thing, it's not because the water becomes undrinkable. It's like we were talking about, you start to get growth, so you start to get algae and stuff like that. Over time, it'll start to get like a mildewy smell or taste to it.
Yeah, the key one people have got to be aware of is storing plastic containers in any sort of environment next to chemicals or fuels, because the penetration of the fumes into the plastic permeate into the water. It's a key one. I've also something that's not I haven't verified with anyone really is I read somewhere years ago that if you store plastic containers on concrete floors, certain plastics will react with the concrete. I've never had any sort of comeback off anyone saying if it's true or false.
That is a first for me. I've never heard of anything like that.
Has anyone heard that or got any comeback on that?
I've heard it, but I don't know.
I suppose it will take a long time for that to happen.
I would
you're
think
probably
years.
more prone to other sort of hazards before that ever happens anyway. Yeah.
I would think it would take years and years and years. I mean, you hear so much stuff on YouTube, guys. It's so much out there, and there's too many of these channels make things so complicated. Like you must keep a flow chart, and you have to inventory and on and on.
No, you don't.
No, man. You just keep it simple, man.
Yeah.
Like my water, if next year around this time, okay, I'll dump it out. I'll fill it up again.
Yeah.
Wow. I can remember things.
There's a lot of channels out there who are just constantly seeking the tiniest variation on things and new ideas for things just to create another post or another video or another blog post.
That's true.
you-
That's true.
You could, you could see a video, 25-minute video of someone explaining how to screw a top on a bottle. It's just ridiculous.
You're right. That is a fact.
Half of these channels,
and
they're just after clicks, and they're just after monetization sites and making money, or they're just trying to promote the store. They're selling things.
Yeah, exactly. I was gonna
It's
say
not
most of the time
helpful.
they're selling. They've
Yeah.
got their own store or whatever. They're selling. Plus, I don't.
Yeah.
I don't know. I really want to start naming names. I really do, because these people piss me off like crazy.
Mhm.
But like,
Yeah, me too.
In this video, we're going to talk. 13-minute video. We're going to talk about how I drink from a glass bottle. Great.
Yeah.
It's just literally.
Yeah, I tied my shoes in case of a shit hits the fan emergency situation. Yeah,
It's
what?
just crap like that, and it's not helping
it's
anyone.
clickbait.
because- Yeah.
Be honest with you guys, I've been here on YouTube for a long time, and I think I got one Google check. One. But I do this stuff for free because I enjoyed it as a hobby. I can learn, I can teach, and as soon as I notice, for me anyway, as soon as a channel starts going down that road of buy this product from I unsubscribe. I mean, I have unsubscribed from so many channels over the years. I just don't want to hear it. Or if they go down the fear porn, the government's going to come and get you. No, man, the junkie down the street is going to come get you, not the government.
That sort of fear stuff is probably the biggest.
Well, that's why I stopped watching. Friggin' Canadian Prepper, man. Classic example of this crap.
Yep.
He sells good stuff, but man, he just markets that crap like crazy. And I just like I said, I've been trying to hold my tongue this whole time. I can't help it. I gotta
every week. It's these channels. It's something like time has run out. This is it.
But you know what's
about
bad?
To push the button.
You know what's bad is like these same people that got the monster prepper YouTube channels now, and they're selling their stuff. I see them on Instagram with their video advertisement. Like this one guy, I forget his name. He's marketing the stupid, the Myrna gas mask or whatever. It's like, I know you.
Myra.
Yeah.
I've got to say, Myra is the only one of the only places where you can buy decent CBRN equipment.
What I'm trying to say is, though, these guys are they've shown us their hand. They're they weren't there with our best intentions at heart. Maybe it started out that way, but that's not the end result.
I've got my friend's son. He is on. He travels around the world making videos and all this sort of stuff, and he puts himself over all the platforms, and he can make £5,000 to £15,000 per Instagram post.
Wow!
And that's all he does. But the thing is, these people, you got to look at the information that's going out there.
That's more than what I make in a single month.
Yeah.
Of driving trucks.
This guy is taking him 10 plus years to build up this sort of thing. It's doable, but it's a full-time job, literally a full-time job, and his life is just traveling all around the world. Yeah, fair play. I mean, he's got the thing, but when you're trying to put information across to people who are concerned about safety, preparedness, they're all trying to mitigate against some sort of event or disaster or crime. It's a bit insidious, the fact that you're just behind the scenes, all you're interested in is selling an item in your shop or
making
money.
Making money.
The ones that probably piss, it's one thing if you're just there to make money, but the other thing is if you're making money off of people's fears, the whole fear porn stuff, that.
Fair enough. Put good information out there, but if the information you're putting out there is just petty or insignificant, then
And like I said, there are other people I want to start naming off too. You don't just also have those people that are talking about, like I said, trying to sell their stuff. You got ones that are just absolute fakes, absolute frauds out there,
Oh, there's so many.
Yeah.
So many.
yeah.
You know what? I'm going to name them off too. I'm sorry, but I have to. I can't hold my tongue any longer about this guy.
Go on, let it out.
Go
Uncle
ahead.
Al.
I'm sure.
Uncle Al
big-
at Die
big time.
Bullfrog 79. He's another fake.
Yes, he is.
And I guarantee you, if he had his own website, he'd be selling stuff too. Guarantee it. Bear
I like
Independent,
Uncle
another
Al.
one. He's a fake.
I like-
he's a fake.
I like
he's a fraud,
Uncle
and he
Al.
sells stuff. But Uncle Al's ideas aren't original. He touts himself as though he's the great arbiter of knowledge and everything. And like Bob said, he talks down so condescendingly to people, and he changes the subject all the time. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. It's a distraction method when he speaks. He doesn't maintain one topic. He'll go and then put his hand on his forehead. Oh, I'm so old and so sick. And
Well, then get off the damn internet, man. I'm sorry.
but the thing that upset him about me was he was constantly hammering on me to do something, constantly. And then when I would do something in my own way, that he'd criticize. It's not right. It's wrong. And comment after comment, I would say, well, you need to make a video and teach me how to do it the right way. Never saw one video, not one.
Yep.
He doesn't actually do anything. He reads it out of a book. That's it. Which is fine, but I don't see him putting anything into practice.
And I got
there are
info
a lot of them
from
there.
good
lot.
friend of mine who has looked up where he lives, and you can see from Google Images, Google Satellites, this guy doesn't even garden. He talks about gardening and prepping and homesteading. He's like, all he has is just manicured grass. He doesn't have any gardens.
Yeah. Now I'll beat up on him a little bit more. Now the thing that really pisses me off is that he claims to be an Air Force veteran.
Yeah.
I was. Now that pisses me off because the guy does not know our language. The Air Force has got a different language than the other services.
Sure.
We have a different mission. And he would ask me questions about what we used and what we did. Then he would make a video that he's the expert on it because he was an Air Force vet. I called him on it on video. Bullshit, dude. You don't know our language. I used the term like TDY. Yep. Now I think the Navy and the Army, the TDA. But everyone who was a GI knows in the U.S. forces, TDY, temporary duty, or TDA, temporary assignment, duty assignment. He didn't know that. Oh, well, I've had 3 strokes. I can't remember. Oh, bullshit, dude. And I mentioned a few other things that are Air Force language. Had no idea what I was talking about. None whatsoever. It's like, you are a fake, dude.
You can tell quite quickly when you talk to people who are veterans whether or not they're genuine.
Yeah.
Last week, there was a parachute regiment guy, his funeral, and there was hundreds of parachute regiment people, airborne forces there, SAS troops there. One guy had the brass neck to turn up, who'd never been in the army, wearing
what a nut.
a
nut.
I'm not sure if he was wearing an SAS beret or parachute regiment maroon beret, but he was had medals on and all sorts. the blokes, within 5 minutes, the blokes found out who he was, and they gave him a good hard time. I'm not sure exactly what happened to him, but he got ousted. Yeah, we call him Waltz. Waltz Mitties.
Yeah. Over here, that's called stolen valor.
Thor over there.
Yeah.
store over there says the Air Force goes in the field and books a hotel and the versus the Army camp. Well, that's true to an extent. Yeah, but I've also lived in Tent City, so yeah, that's true to an extent. He's Canadian. I'll give him a pass for that. He's Canadian.
So anyway, we've gone from water containers to
I know.
ousting
That was
people.
my bad. That was my bad. But it's just,
Well,
I
I
get
mean-
so tired of this, man. You got there's good information out there, and like we were saying, it gets muddled. People start talking, you got to do this, you got to do this, you got to do this, so that way they can make themselves sound really intelligent and get more clicks, and then they can start maybe getting sponsorships and selling their own stuff on their own stores.
I mean, to be honest, people slander and slag off government departments, but websites like the CDC's website has got some good quality information there, and you can look it up and it's valid. People don't need to make videos and that sort of stuff. The valuable videos to me are experience-orientated videos. Someone saying, "Well, this is what I used to do," and all this sort of stuff. Because it's through their experience, and whether or not you want to believe or take away their experience or what, this is a trick we used to use, and etc. etc. They're the valuable ones, I think. Or when I went to such and such, this is what I saw. This is how the people, and all this sort of thing. But there's different there's different characters.
But I'll kiss your ass for just a minute, Deorse. Like your water video, that's the kind of stuff that I'm looking for. Same with Swede's water video and his blankets that he stored away. That's the kind of stuff I'm looking for. Real stuff, not just talk about it, but actually show it. I'm gonna make a video in a couple of days about my preparedness stuff that I bought on Amazon or retail when I get my pension, my Boeing pension.
Yeah.
There you go. $20 for another water container. I've got some more solar lights on order. I just, and I'm not selling any. You cannot even find my email address on my channel because I don't want to be contacted by these sponsors. I don't want that stuff. I just want to keep it clean, to keep it honest and genuine.
Well, Bob, I know I've been hounded to get a hold of you via email, but I promise you, I'm not trying to sell you anything or have you sponsor anything of mine. Okay, I'm just trying to get a hold of you because I'm trying to add you to my list of personal contacts, just like I did with Gil and I did with Steve Corsair Strangers.
Okay, here's mine in the private chat.
Private chat.
Yeah.
For some reason, I can't pull up the private chat. What the heck's going on here?
Oh, look at you. Oh, my God. Navy guys, I swear.
It's not Navy guys. My phone. It's not allowing me to. The chat sometimes works on my phone and sometimes it doesn't. Let's see. Oh, there we go. There we go. There we go.
You other guys have
test. I see it.
Okay, there we go. Okay, there's my email right there in the private. You can grab that too if you want to, Vet. You guys are cool.
Yeah, no worries. I'll give you an email. Mm-hmm. And if anyone's on WhatsApp here, we can.
No, I don't have WhatsApp.
Right.
I've got that on my new phone, but I have no clue how to even use it, man. I'm old.
WhatsApp is very good because it's it's private, instant messaging, and you can send photos, videos, quick discussions. It's a very good tool to use. Yeah, definitely.
Well, I still have a Skype account.
Yeah, I did too.
If anyone Shadow.
Well, what's your Skype, Deorse?
I have to look it up again because I haven't been on Skype in that long.
Yeah, it's about the same with me.
I think it's got my name Deorse in there, but I don't remember if I added some numbers in it at the end. I don't remember now.
Oh, okay. I can search.
I haven't used it since I was in the Navy.
I think I have 1 or 2 Filipino ladies that I'm friends with. I've been talking to them both for years. You know, just once in a while, good morning, how's the family, that kind of stuff. You know, so that's why I haven't got rid of it. I still got 2 cool people that I talk to. In fact, that's where I get some of my intel about what's going on over in the Philippines is from a couple people I know who live in the Philippines that are not family in different parts of the country.
That's why it's nice to have contacts in different areas.
Yeah. Yeah.
That way you got something
People
to
that you trust,
counter
you know.
the message that the mainstream media is trying to promote.
Bingo. You're spot on.
But no, like I said, I just get so tired of this whole, like I said, these people, these wannabes and everything. I know Preparedness Vet, he was talking about that one guy that showed up to the funeral dressed up in all the ribbons and insignia for paratrooper.
We get it every year. Every Remembrance Day parade. There's someone turns up pretending to be SAS, or he's got the Victoria Cross, or this sort of stuff, and everyone knows, because everybody knows everyone. You can determine someone who's genuine or not within the first 5 minutes of speaking to him quite easily.
Especially like the Air Force, we're really small. Even back in the 80s when I was enlisted, there's very few of us. And I recall an old guy, senior master sergeant, when we had a branch meeting, he says, you know, you guys be cool to each other, because chances are very, very, very good that you're going to be stationed with the same people either overseas or here in the States at a time. So be cool with each other. Learn how to work together. Learn how to get along.
Yeah, it always catches up with someone.
I think the only branch that's smaller than the Air Force is the U.S. Coast Guard.
Or the Marine Corps. At least in my day, the Marine Corps was the smallest. And then I know the Coast Guard's definitely going to be smaller than the rest.
The coasties, man, they're kind of the special people. You know, they kind of flip flop between a law enforcement agency and then between an arm of the DoD.
Yeah, they do. But I was astounded when I did a TDY with the Army. I had no idea how big the U.S. Army is. My God. Wow.
But to be fair, if you can't get into any of the other branches, likely you're probably going to get taken in, you know, under the wing of the Army. If, you know, like I said, if you can't get in because of either intelligence or because, you know, physical fitness or something like that, because they will get you whipped into shape. They will get you whipped into shape. Because, like, I know the Air Force, they want the cream of the crop. They absolutely want the cream of the crop, not just intelligence. They want they've got the strictest physical fitness standards.
Yeah, you cannot be. We call it the Fat Boy program. If you gain weight and you go over your minimum, and they'll put you on the Fat Boy program and force you into maintaining your weight. And if you can't, well, you're going to lose a stripe or two and then get kicked out. That's it. Just gone. You know, they won't make. But I remember the Army, when I did a TDY with them, they run PT every morning, every day. And they were asking this few of us Air Force guys who were stationed with them, don't you guys do that? No, we're not forced into it. We do it on our own. We get our orders and we understand the regulations, and then it's up to you as an individual to maintain your own weight and your own.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's mostly like our Air Force operates.
You've been educated. Yeah, I think it would be. Yeah. If you know the standards, that's it. We gave you a chance, and bye-bye.
It says, Thor says, Air Force wanted smart guys. That's why I went to Harvard. Yeah. I went airborne for most of my career, so there's plenty of jokes knocking around about what comes up.
So I would imagine the stereotypes are going to be the same across the board, regardless of which country you're in. So if Air Force in England
I would
versus
think
Air
so,
Force
yeah.
in U.S. or Canada, it's probably going to be fairly similar.
Probably, yeah.
Because I know a lot of the things between the Royal Navy and the U.S. Navy, they're very similar. You know, heck, our traditions, the U.S. Navy traditions, mirror that of the British Royal Navy.
Yeah, they're all sort of cross over, don't they, at some point?
You know, in the submarine fleet for the British Royal Navy, you know what they refer to their non-qualified people as?
Stinkies or Pongos.
Well, I guess that's one of them, but one of the ones that actually made me laugh pretty hard, I guess they refer to them as oxygen thieves.
Yeah. Well, see, in the army, an oxygen thief is someone who's so unfit. When he runs past you, he's. Or when someone's he's going up the hill so slow, he's breathing out of his ass. You can hear him. I used to be a PTI, so I know this. Yeah.
Well, guys, I think I need to wrap things up.
That's fine. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go anyway.
Actually,
yeah.
I'm going up. I
Yeah.
need to wake up 3 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah, no worries.
To
Have a good trip.
leave my home. Yeah, I have my 8-hour class tomorrow.
And this is
a
water class, like water treatment, or
yeah, it's emergency water. How to handle emergency water tanks, cleaning them, and well,
Yeah.
hygiene and other things.
all right.
So that will be a lot of
All right,
heavy work.
Thanks for having me
Peace
on.
out, everybody. Thanks for having me up.
Yep, no worries. Catch you later, Bob. Deorse.
All right. Later, guys.
See you later, Shadow.
Yeah,
See you later.
Catch you later,
Take care,
Deorse.
stay safe.
The real, I'll mail you. See you later.
Take care, guys. Stay safe. God bless. And I'll see you next week. And thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it. Have a nice weekend and have a nice day.